What's up, beautiful people?
Hey,
Welcome
guys.
to our very first episode of our very first podcast, which is named, can you guess? What's up, beautiful people? That's a given because you already clicked on this podcast, so you know exactly what this thing is called. But we've never done a podcast before. We're really excited about this. I am an avid podcast listener, and so I'm really pumped to be able to have a podcast with the most beautiful woman in the world.
Aww.
It's our 19th wedding anniversary today, it makes it all the more special to start out this new year of marriage with a new endeavor, a new project, a new adventure.
Super fun. And something we've talked about for years. So I think it's exciting that this is finally happening and we're finally doing this. And I think it's going to be a really cool way to connect with you guys a little bit deeper and a little bit more behind the scenes kind of stuff. When we do YouTube, a lot of times you can't fit that much into a 10 or 15 minute video.
It's very hard.
And there's so many things that we want to share with you guys, like background, behind the scenes, that kind of stuff that is just hard to do on that platform. So that's one of the reasons why we thought doing a podcast would be really cool, because we could connect with you guys in a little bit of a different way. Yeah,
get a little more in depth, kind of talk about things that we don't get to talk about on YouTube, and a little more, get a little more of our heart, if that makes sense. So.
Yeah, but I think first we should probably just give an introduction into who we are in case you're not familiar with our YouTube channel.
It's a brilliant idea.
Yeah, just a little bit about our family. There's a lot going on there.
There is a lot going on there. So we have 7 kids. We have 4 adopted, 3 biological that are 18, 16, 16, 15, 14, 8, and 6. It's insane, guys. There's never a dull moment in our house. It is insane in the best of ways. Absolutely. But we adopted 2 from China, 2 from Ethiopia, and it's just a beautiful, diverse rainbow of adoption and biological, and it's amazing. We love it. Yeah,
and that's one of the reasons why we even started kind of sharing our story publicly, is because we are so passionate about the beauty of diversity and adoption, and just how much it's changed our lives and changed our hearts. And so just really excited to be able to share that with you guys as well, because I know a lot of you guys resonate with that, or you have questions about what that looks like, as far as a family that is maybe a little non-traditional.
And we started YouTubing, it's coming up on 4 years now, right? And that was sort of the origin story of going on YouTube, is because we had adopted from China our two I don't know, call it newest kids. It's different because we adopted a 12-year-old and a 2-year-old at the same time, so we can't say our youngest.
And not our youngest.
It's just there's a weird age gap. So I'm not sure exactly how to word that, but we adopted 2 children from China in 2017, and we were telling that story already, sort of on our personal, Instagram and Facebook and all that kind of thing, and people just kept saying, you should really start doing YouTube or have a show or something. We weren't really sure. We were scared to death to do it. We didn't even know YouTube honestly was a thing.
I know. I was like, I love being able to connect with people and share our story, but we were just a regular family, not really knowing how to do that. And so,
we didn't know how to make videos. We didn't have any, gear. We were using iMovie and our iPhones, just trying to tell that story in a way that was sharing the hope of, the gospel and the beauty of adoption and diversity and all of that. And we said from the beginning, we're not going to do clickbait. We're not going to do gossip or drama or, exploitation or anything like that. We're just going to be good vibes to get people through the week and share the beauty of our story. And I think we've held to that, for almost 4 years now. It's crazy.
It's been a wild ride. So the very first video that we made was kind of our family's adoption story. And so that was really interesting, because I thought, we'll put this out there and maybe our family will watch it, maybe a couple of friends, that kind of thing. And it just really took off. And so it's been so cool to be able to connect with people really all across the world. And so that's just been so cool to just see.
It is so cool
how you can connect with people that you never otherwise would have.
We literally, on every video, we do a live kind of premiere that we can chat live with people on our videos and engage with them. And it's so fun because there's almost like a roll call at the beginning of every video where everyone's like, I'm watching from Austria, I'm watching from Saudi Arabia, I'm watching from South Africa, I'm watching from New Zealand. And it's just so cool to see that, you know, and just all the different holidays and all the, you know, it's amazing. It's like one big global family.
Yeah.
And so, we've been doing that for 4 years on YouTube. We've started trying to do more on TikTok and Instagram and Facebook as well. So if you're not following us on those channels, make sure you do that. It's like the Miller fam on everything, I'm pretty sure, except for Twitter. We couldn't get the Miller fam. We're the Miller fam 2. What's that about? I don't even think it's the person that does the Miller fam tweets still, but
that's funny.
Maybe we can get that fixed sometime soon.
But here on this podcast, it's going to be a little bit of a different vibe you can't really get on the other platforms. And so I'm really excited because this is going to be just a different way to be able to share our story. And also, we'd love to hear from you guys. Like, what do you want to hear from us? So do you have questions? Is there anything you would like us to share about? I really want this to be a place where we can connect in a little bit of a different way. So I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So it being our anniversary, I feel like we should kind of talk about our love story a little bit.
Okay.
What do you think?
Yeah.
Because it's pretty fun. Because like people, if you're watching this podcast visually, if you're only listening, just envision this.
Oh my gosh.
You got a fairly mediocre looking guy, and you've got a supermodel wife here. Essentially, that's the vibe. So they're probably thinking, how did he land, like marrying up so far out of his league? That's probably what's going on. So I'll tell the story about how I wooed you.
Okay.
If that works for you.
Sure.
Is wooing still a word? Do people use that?
Yeah, totally.
Okay, that's good. See, it works. It's still like, you just agree. That's the thing. She's just got a heart of gold. So given the heart of gold, I was a high school office aide during the lunch hour of my senior year. And I chose to go. I had to ask my bass player a question because I'm a musician. So like, that's really what I did forever before we started doing YouTube, and I still do. I was music pastor and all kinds of things like that. But I had a bass player in high school, and I went to go ask him a question, and I walked in, and you were sitting at his table.
Yeah.
And I was like, Matt, who is that? And he was like, oh, that's Amanda. She plays keyboard for me at the church. And I go, she plays keys. and so I like did the most sensible thing ever. And I plopped down next to you. I was 5'3", 300 pounds. So this was a great, visual for you.
You weren't at that
I guess
time.
I had grown up. I had shot up a little bit by then.
You had hit your growth spurt by that
I was probably 5'10",
I think you were
5'9", maybe. I was still growing.
Were you?
But I was still a big dude. And because I didn't lose the weight till 2 years after we started dating. But I sat down next to you. Hey, I'm Steven. And you're like,
I was a little caught off guard because you were very very forward, and I wasn't used to that, but super friendly. And so I was like, okay, who is this guy?
Yeah.
And you just introduced yourself and started talking. And I mean, we were friends for a while. Like
I think you were trying to kind of friend zone that, and I was relentless.
I just didn't know what to make of it.
I would call her every night. Back whenever you had landlines, we didn't have cell phones. And his dad would be like, it's Steven again.
Yeah.
And then you would not say anything. I would just talk, and you would listen, and I would think she hates me.
Well, that's something we can get into a little bit later, but we are complete opposites. Yeah. He is Mr. Extrovert, and I am pretty introverted and a little shy at the beginning of getting to know someone. And so, but what he didn't see is like he'd be on the phone talking to me, and I would be silent, but I would be kind of like dancing around my room. Like I was excited to be talking to him, but I didn't know what to say. And so I just kind of let him lead the way because he had enough personality for the both of us.
Funny. Well, and then it kind of came to a head because I asked you to the school play if you wanted to go on a double date to the school play.
Yeah.
And Matt was going to take us because he had his girlfriend. So I call you from his cell phone because I still didn't have one.
Yeah.
And I said, hey, I'm on your driveway to pick you up.
I didn't know it was a date. I thought it was supposed to be like this casual, like, hey, a group of us are going if you want to come. And I thought I had said like, yeah, maybe I can.
And I thought we were good. And so you're like, I'm babysitting. I can't go.
Yeah.
And I was like, shoot. So I kind of let it go for a little bit.
Yeah.
And then prom rolled around.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm going to shoot my shot. And I asked you to prom, which was our first date.
Our first official date.
And then I told you that we couldn't date because I'm going off to college.
Yeah, I thought after prom, it was so fun, and I thought he was going to like sit me down and make it official, and instead he sat down with me and said that he didn't want a long distance relationship because he was going off to college. He's 2 years older than me, so I was still a sophomore as he was finishing up his senior year. But
as soon as I got home, I thought to myself, dear God, what have I done? And so
I literally thought I would never see you again. I thought, okay, that's over. Well,
that was the next weekend was town, what was it called? Founders Day.
Yeah.
Founders Day. We were both in Austin, Texas. Dripping Springs High School was our alma mater. It was Dripping Springs Founders Day, and I like didn't know how to get a hold of you because you didn't have a cell phone. I didn't have a cell phone. So I just drove to Founders Day, and like I knew you were going to be there, so I was like looking for you, and I saw you from across the street, and I was like, okay. So I was like, I'm an idiot. Like, let's date forever.
I made you kind of work for it too. I was just like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm kind of busy. But yeah, we did. We got together and the rest is history.
Dated for 2 years, got married. I had just turned 20 and you were about to turn 18.
Yeah, I had just graduated.
Yeah.
We were babies.
Babies. With a baby on the way. So that was a big part of the story. Everyone's like, how do you have an 18-year-old and you're such a young person? Well, we were kids when we had our first kiddo.
Which wasn't part of the plan, but it's been incredible to see how that really put us on the path to our life right now. And like, I would not change any of it.
Yeah.
It's been like such a blessing. Our daughter, our firstborn daughter
She's
our
amazing, guys.
Greatest blessing. And I think we both very quickly realized how much we loved being parents and how much joy she brought to us. So
at the same time, I was extremely poor growing up, and I wasn't quite sure because I was making $1,800 a month when we got married and had our first kid.
Yeah,
like we had a $70 a month grocery budget.
Yeah,
you know, nothing. We were like, which WIC food stamps cheese should we buy today? You know, and that was kind of crazy. So when we were, you know, I got my first like real job, and I was like, oh yeah, you know, we got pregnant with Kira, and that was awesome. But I was still kind of like,
yeah,
pretty good with one, and you're like, well, you better get used to two, buddy, because
there's another one on the way. But around that time was when we also started talking about adoption. I mean, we had kind of talked about it casually throughout like our dating and all of that. But once we had our daughters, they were like 1 and 3 or so. We really started talking about adoption because that's something that I had seen a lot in my life. My parents did foster care and respite care for different families. And so that's something that I knew was on my heart from a very early age. And so,
we were actually just talking about it before we started doing this podcast about, we went to a Stephen Curtis Chapman concert of all things, and he was talking about Show Hannah's Hope, which is now Show Hope, and kind of talking about, hey, you should adopt and we can help with that. And like we left that night, like we should adopt.
It was the first conversation, like the first serious conversation that we had. Like, what would that look like for our family? And are we called to do that? And so over those next couple of years, we just had lots of conversations. We were still really young at that point. I was like 22,
Yeah, we
23.
wouldn't have qualified to adopt.
I think you're supposed to, for most adoption agencies, you need to be 25. So I was a couple years too young for that. But that was a conversation we were having even in our early 20s.
Yeah, our first step of yes was we started sponsoring like 3 kids with Compassion International. And then that was sort of,
that was a big,
got us ready, you know.
That really is what shaped our hearts for adoption, is also just seeing families that were ripped apart by poverty or disease or that kind of thing, like just broke our hearts because, you know, families, if at all possible, should be able to stay together. And so it was heartbreaking to see children that did need homes because of that kind of reason. And so that was our entry point, is that we became very passionate about sponsoring or about organizations that do sponsor kids and keep families together. But apart from that, there's still so many children that do need homes. And so that was a conversation we were having about what would it look like for our family to engage in this in the way of actually adopting children.
Started calling around to different adoption agencies, and they all kept saying, go to Ethiopia, there's a huge need. And you could qualify, you know.
We were really open to whatever. And that was kind of our starting point, was that we wanted to be open to children that were maybe already waiting. A lot of times there are long wait lists for, healthy babies to be adopted. Yeah. But
we already had 2 biological children, so we were like, just give us like a sibling group or older kids who are not likely to get adopted otherwise.
Yeah, we really wanted to be open to like whatever that would look like for us and just kind of move forward in faith. And so that's what we did. And so we ended up putting in an application with a specific agency, and we saw our sons on that waiting list as a sibling group.
Yeah, and we hadn't even done our home study yet. And we were like, hey, can we adopt these kids? And they're like, yeah. Do you have a home study? We're like, no. But we will do it as fast as we can. So we like did like a home study, like boot camp immersion thing for like 2 straight days. And then like 9 months later, we flew home with Jude and Liam, you know, that was 11 years ago now.
I know.
It's crazy.
It's crazy that it's been that long.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like even just leaving Ethiopia, we knew like, okay, something has happened to us and to our hearts. And we knew that we were probably going to be growing our family again through adoption. Which is crazy because you did start out with like, I'm good with 1 kid or 2 kids.
It was that whole maxim, 1 for me, 1 for you, and thank the Lord we're finally through. And then I was like, oh, that's not going to happen.
It's interesting how your hearts and your minds evolve over time through experiences and through just so many things that you can see. And I'm amazed at how God's grown our family, and like where we started out as just 2 kids that had nothing and knew nothing, and then
I mean we're kind of still kids.
I still feel like we have,
but we just have a little more,
so much, to learn, so much to grow through. But at the same time, like it's been an incredible journey, and now we have these 7 beautiful children. Yeah. So we did adopt twice. We adopted a sibling group from Ethiopia. Then we had our son biologically. Yeah. And so that brought us to 5 kids, and then a couple years later.
It was crazy because you're like, I think we need to adopt again. And I'm like, okay, let's do it. We've got room for 1 more in our Suburban. Let's go, you know? Yeah. And then we got approved to adopt Penelope, who's our now 16-year-old.
Yeah, she was 12 at the time.
Yeah, she was 12. And then Amanda said, hey, I think we need to adopt again, like 2 concurrently, like we did with Jude and Liam. And I was like, I'm not really hearing the Lord on that, you know? Yeah. And you're like, well, he's telling me, you know, kind of thing. And
I was like, let's pray about it.
Let me pray. I'll pray and whatever. And I prayed for a couple of weeks and didn't feel like I heard God giving me an answer. So I was like, well, here's what I know. The Bible says he's the father to the fatherless. He puts orphans in homes. This is true religion, that you care for orphans. And so let's go for this, you know. If our agency says yes to adopting 2 at the same time, then China probably won't. And if China says yes to adopting 2 at the same time, then we'll know it's God. So they said, hey, we think you're insane. So here's a questionnaire so we can check whether or not you are insane. We somehow passed that. And
there was a lot of hoops to jump through, you know? Because they were 2 unrelated children. And so they
special needs. Lincoln was high special needs. Yeah. And Penny was an older child. And so
there's a lot of complexities there that we had to really think through. Yeah. And so they wanted to make sure that our family could actually be ready for that and handle that well. And so
somehow they looked at us and said, yes, you guys are the perfect family for which I'm thankful, you know, but I honestly wasn't sure. So that was enough confirmation for me. Yeah. And you know, we may not be done, you know?
Yeah. And that's probably one of the biggest questions that we currently get is, are you going to continue to expand your family? Are you done having kids? And that is a conversation that we're actually having a lot lately. So, lately, we can talk more about that
we're sort of like, you know, we moved to Nashville. We've moved around
every few years.
Every 3. I was a worship pastor in a church, and you know that kind of lifestyle. You just move around a lot. So every 3 years or so, every 4 years maybe, you know, we would move and start something new. You know, I'm a very entrepreneurial kind of guy. I like to build things and start things, and so that was a big piece of that. And so now, you know, we live in Nashville and we're building a house on a river with 4 acres. And we just kind of feel like this is like our legacy property that we will have our kids and our grandkids and our great grandkids come to you know, for Christmas and that kind of thing. We're pretty dead set to stay here apart from something crazy happening. I
think we're all ready to settle in, which I'm excited for, because the moving every few years can be exciting, but it can also be a lot on a large family. And so especially as our kids have gotten older, I think it's been good to kind of put down some deeper roots and kind of settle in.
Yeah. And Nashville is just such a great place for like all of Lincoln's special needs. And like Penelope has found so many kids who are from China or speak Chinese in her school. And like, that's the first time since she's lived in America that's happened. Yeah. And so she feels very deeply connected. It's just been a great place for us. So that has sort of ignited this conversation, you know, about, well,
as we kind of settle.
Are we done? You know, who knows? Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's a little bit about us and kind of where we're coming from in starting this podcast. We're calling it What's Up, Beautiful People, because we literally, open every vlog with that phrase, because it's a simple, subtle reminder that like you matter and you belong and you are loved and you are worthy and you're chosen. And most of us, I think, kind of walk around not feeling that way. If we're honest, you know,
a lot of times you can.
Like even for me, like half the time whenever we're saying it to open the vlog, I don't necessarily feel like it's true for me. So it is even a reminder to me that, yeah, I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Like I'm created in the image of God and I matter. Like, so that's just sort of the reminder for that. So that's what we wanted this podcast to sort of be about. It's just like a hope-filled reminder that like you matter and that you as a human are beautiful, and look at all these other beautiful humans who are doing amazing things as well. So that's kind of, the idea with that.
So that's why we wanted to call this podcast What's Up, Beautiful People. And there's a lot of things that we're going to cover on this podcast, from the beauty of diversity to adoption, just raising a large family, what that
large family, guys,
and just all of those kind of dynamics. And we're going to have a lot of different guests on here as well.
We have a list. Like I'm a dreamer, so the list of people that I'm trying to get on this podcast might look like sort of outlandish to some people, but that's okay, because if you never try, then you never know. Thank you, Coldplay. That's kind of the goal, you know. It's like, I think that is the greatest song of all time, by the way.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to hear from other people's perspectives, and just be able to kind of display the beauty of the world, and particularly when it comes to family and it comes to raising kids and marriage and that dynamic. And as I said, like diving deeper into that and some of those challenges and just getting kind of real with you guys, because that is something that we really have longed to do for a while now. And it's just so hard to do on a little YouTube video. So really excited.
It's going to be a lot of fun. Like we're sort of exploring that long form kind of setup, and we're doing it like in a lot of ways. The podcast is a big one. The book is a big one that just came out, or it's about to come out, or whatever. I'm not sure. It's there. The book is there. Speaking of the book, I don't really talk about this yet, but this is the book right here. I wrote it. If you can't see this because you're listening, just imagine like the most aesthetically pleasing like book design, like absent of the guy on the cover, which is me. Like it's just,
you're pleasing to look at person too.
Whatever. It's called The Art of Getting It Wrong. And basically the idea is like, you're a human, you're going to mess up. I happen to mess up probably more than the average human. Like I get it wrong so much. So hopefully through my misadventures and mess ups, I can encourage you guys that like, you're not your failure. Your failure doesn't define you. Your failure is not final, and though your failure doesn't define you, it can refine you. And so, you know, you may mess up, but you're not a mess up. You may fail, but you're not a failure. That's the idea here. And so it's a pretty funny book, I think.
It is.
It's a pretty funny book. Like
crazy, hilarious.
Keep affirming that it's a funny book.
It's equal parts heartwarming and hilarious. So
I like that. Yeah. That's good. You're such a good person with words. Anyway, you can get it anywhere you do your book thing, like Audible. We actually made the audiobook together, kind of a cool like hybrid audiobook, which is really fun, and all the other places too. So pick that up if you want to. It'll feed my many children. And, so we're going to do something a little, unique to our podcast. The idea is probably not that unique, but we're going to call it Beautiful People because that's the name of our podcast. We're going to try to highlight some beautiful people doing beautiful things in the world. We'll do, one of these in every episode, maybe.
Yeah.
I think. Be kind of fun. There's a guy named Halusi in Turkey who he's a teacher, and this hits close to home because both of my parents are teachers. He actually put a box out for all his students. If you haven't watched this, you need to watch it. We're going to link it in the show notes. But
yeah,
he said
viral for sure.
Told all the kids to come up. He's like, hey, my favorite student is in this box. Come take a look at this thing. So the kids all come up one by one, and there's a mirror in the box, and whenever they look down, like, it's just amazing. Like, you watch the video, like, their faces just change because they're saying, "Oh my gosh, I'm your favorite." Like, it's
each kid's
so
reaction
sweet.
is just so heartwarming to see, like, their faces light up, and just what that does to their self-esteem, just kind of knowing that, like, they really matter and they're valuable to their teacher. I think this guy was brilliant.
That's so brilliant. We should do that with our kids. Like, we should tell them to come look in the box to see who their favorite kid is. I think that would work pretty well.
Oh my gosh, that's funny. They might have a different reaction. They'd be like, Dad. I love it though. So that's funny. Awesome. That's so sweet. So that's our beautiful person of the week. I love this story so much.
It's so good.
If you guys have a beautiful person that you'd like us to feature, definitely send that in here. We would love to feature some really special people that you guys come across as well.
Slide into our DMs on Instagram at the Miller Fam. Yep. Or on TikTok, or on Facebook, or on YouTube comments, wherever you want to do
We check all of our messages.
We're pretty accessible on our, we try to keep up with that stuff. Just to name a few of the people that are on my dream list, this is, Andrew and Shawn. That's top of the list. Zach Levi. I mean, come on, who wouldn't want Shazam? Adam and Danielle Busby, they're actually good friends. That's probably gonna happen. I would guess. The big ones. I want Chris Pratt, because why not? Like, he's Star-Lord. He's in Jurassic Park, Lego, Marvel. He's in everything, and he's Schwarzenegger's son-in-law. Like, it's just the thing. I would love to get. I want Mark Wahlberg on here because, like, Father Stu, come on, like, that dude, come on, say hello to your mother for me,
Oh my God.
I would love to get. I told the kids that I was trying to get Josh Peck on here because I just read his book and it's, like, fascinating, and we have a very similar story with, like, all the weight stuff as kids and all that, and they're like, we were going to be there for that show. So Josh Peck, if you're listening, you're going to be on the show.
Our family's
and you're going to
obsessed.
meet a lot of kids when you're on the show. So hopefully that works for you on your schedule. Let's just make it happen. You can call me. That'd be great. I want The Rock, because why not? I mean, drink your Zoe, let's go. Like, tear 'em on a toast. Like, we got the whole deal. I work out. I do The Rock's workouts. Come on, Rock. Like, you can come on the show. I don't even know if The Rock does podcasts, but he would do ours.
It's gonna be fun either way, and we're gonna have some interesting things to cover and some interesting people to talk to. So
heck yeah,
I'm excited for this new little journey for us.
It is gonna be. I want to do a rapid fire Q&A.
Okay.
I think this will be a lot of fun.
Okay.
You and I just, like,
do we know how to do things rapid fire?
I don't know that we will do this properly. The rapid may end up being like a really slow, like, six-shooter kind of thing.
Yeah.
But it could be a lot of fun.
Okay.
So I'm going to ask you a question.
And then I'll ask you one?
As quick as you can.
Okay.
You're going to answer the question.
Okay.
And then you're going to ask me a question.
Oh, that's how this works?
And then
Okay, cool.
That's called mansplaining.
Okay.
Which is short for man-explaining.
Oh.
If you didn't know.
I didn't know that. Thank you. Okay.
Okay. What's the hardest part of having 7 kids?
Probably being intentional with your time.
That's a really good answer and very, very true. Okay, now your turn.
It is true. Well, thank you. Okay. Your favorite thing about your spouse?
Ooh. I don't know if I'm allowed to.
Just keep it short and sweet.
I'll keep it PG. Okay. You're hilarious. I think that's a big one. And we just laugh, like, a lot together.
I do.
So that's fun.
Thank you.
Yeah. What's your favorite kind of music? Favorite artist or song or both?
Oh, gosh. I should have given you this one because
I already answered that, though. Coldplay, Fix You.
I don't know. You're more the music person.
I am a little more the music person.
Yeah. I like what you listen to.
Well, that's good. That's why we work really well together, because we don't ever have to argue about what's on the radio.
Yeah, usually not.
It's good. We got that chemistry going. It's good stuff.
Where is somewhere you would love to travel as a family? We could make this shorter and say, where is somewhere you would not like to travel as a family?
It's like, I don't know that I want to. No, I won't say that because then somebody listening from there is going to be like, hey.
That's where I'm from.
Yeah. I'd love to travel like next summer, 20-year anniversary, renewing our vows in Italy on the Amalfi Coast with all the kids. Shawn and Andrew are there. Andrew's my best man. Like, it'll be great. We'll have The Rock officiate the wedding.
Cool. All right. So
That'll be a lot of fun.
Podcast because,
he's got to be on it.
Right?
It'd be great. That's kind of the fun thing. Yeah, I think that's great.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. That would be amazing.
What is a common adoption misconception that you can think of off the top of your head?
Okay, so a big one that we hear a lot is that it's so expensive that it's just impossible. And that's actually something that we did come across a lot, is that we just didn't have tons of money laying around. So there's programs, there's fundraising, there's ways to accomplish it.
Yeah.
Even if you don't feel financially ready, there's definitely ways
grants
to do it.
And loans, and you have your kids like bake brownies and sell them to the neighbors like our kids did.
Yeah.
I made a CD, we made shirts, we sold coffee. Show Hope gave us a grant. It was great. Yeah.
There are a lot of grants and programs.
It was awesome. Yeah.
Okay. Here. Are you an introvert or an extrovert?
We kind of already answered this one, but I am clearly an extrovert. Although I will say creatively introverted, because I'm like, I need to have don't look at my work. I need to get alone and not be around people whenever I'm writing or whatever.
But,
but otherwise, you're socially extroverted for sure.
Mr. Extrovert, do all the things with all the people, right?
But I will say that you and I have sort of rubbed off on each other a lot over the years. And I'm a little more cool with just hanging out with just you and the kids.
Yeah.
So more than ever before in my life. I just really like you guys.
Resting is not wasting time.
It's true. That's good. That's really good.
That's
I'm
kind of been our
tweet that.
Okay, cool.
At Stephen Miller with a PH, not a V. This is an easy one for me because you already know the answer, but I'm very curious what your answer will be. If you could only eat one food for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Oh, man.
Don't worry about whether you can survive on it. Because I would say your answer would probably be chocolate ice cream. But if you could live on that and it would be okay, what would it be?
Honestly, though, when we went to China, the authentic dumplings there were just life-changing.
Yes.
Life-changing.
I agree.
We've never found it since.
It became my third favorite food.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We need to get that again.
Xiao Long Bao. Heck yeah.
Who is... All right, babe, here's one for you. Who is your favorite child? We're not going.
That's not fair.
We don't have favorites.
Jesus, the Son of God.
Oh my
That's
gosh.
my favorite child.
No, we don't have favorites.
I will not favorite.
But all of our kids are wonderfully unique, and
they are.
We appreciate them for their beautiful qualities.
That is the PC answer right there, right?
But it's so true. Our kids are amazing.
I do believe
all of our
that.
kids are amazing.
I agree with you there.
Yeah.
But we do have a favorite. But we're never going to say it.
You cannot say that.
Okay.
That's not true.
What was the best part of our wedding? That's a good one because today's our anniversary.
The best part of our wedding was that you cried like a baby while I walked down the aisle.
I bawled.
And everyone else cried because they said that they saw you crying. So then
There's a big backstory to that, and we'll get into that at a later date. But yes, I was overwhelmed with awe and joy and grace. And yeah, it was one of those kind of anchor moments of my life, seeing the doors open and you walk through them. No, I'm about to cry right now.
I know. It was incredible. One of my favorite memories ever. All right, here's a good one. What is the best life advice you've ever been given? Did you wipe the tears away?
Yeah. Measure twice, cut once. No, I think that is a big one. I think probably Miller, your character is not worth $800 because if you read my book, I tell this story about my first iPhone, and I tried to get around the system with the iPhone. You got to read but my mentor sort of father figure, Jim, just he had bought me the iPhone for my birthday, and he put his arm around me and he just said, Miller, your integrity is not worth $800.
Yeah.
Like nothing is worth your integrity.
Yeah.
And I thought that was a big one. You know,
it was.
I'll look back on that and measure twice, cut once, because I am not a detail oriented guy. And so your dad has given me all the good stuff.
Yeah.
Make good choices. Don't do anything with her you wouldn't do with your grandma. Well, that didn't work.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
What is your biggest pet peeve? It doesn't have to be with me. It can be anybody in life. Doesn't have to be.
Okay. Yeah.
How do I narrow it down to one with you?
No. Okay. So I would say probably just when people are rude, like it.
Yeah.
It just does something to me. Like if somebody's rude, like they cut you off in traffic or
you're broken down on the side of the road and they're honking at you and screaming.
This happened recently.
Like last week.
It was like the worst timing ever. And people just they're not, if they're not considerate, it gets to me. It makes me really sad.
Yeah.
So
how many kids do you ultimately want?
Glad I got this question.
Yeah, I'll take 30.
No, like honestly though, if you weren't taking into account any factors, I would have 10 or 12 kids. I totally would.
10 or 12 kids. Wow. That's a lot of kids.
Are you sweating right now?
No.
Really?
No, you're a great mom. And I'll become a good dad if we do that.
No.
I'll get ready.
I think all things considered though, like for our family and like the stage of life that we're in, I see us having one or two more. I do. But we'll just kind of see how that plays out.
We shall see.
We shall see. Yeah.
Whether it be biologically or adoption.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yep.
Because both are viable.
You never know.
Potentially.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe one of each.
Maybe one of each.
There you go. Oh gosh, Stephen, I don't want to ask you about jokes.
No, tell me. I don't have any good jokes.
All right, last one. What are you most excited for with this podcast?
Honestly, I feel like just getting to talk with you about really cool things and getting to meet really cool people that I find extremely interesting that are doing amazing things in the world. And, you know, the reason I listen to podcasts is because it actually like inspires me and encourages me. And like, you know, it's just one of those things that like adds to my life, you know?
Yeah.
And I just want to do that for other people as well. And, you know, we're not like in the big leagues of some of these people who are doing like world changing things. I don't necessarily think, but I do think we have a pretty encouraging story. And I hope that this will be something that adds to people's life.
Yeah, totally.
That they listen and walk away feeling encouraged and filled with hope.
Yeah, put a smile on people's faces.
Put a smile on you. Not a spell. Although spells work too.
Oh my gosh.
Expelliarmus.
Okay, guys, so that is a little bit about our family, a little background and introduction into this new podcast that we have going here. It's going to be a lot of fun, and so we're excited to connect with you guys.
And it's very appropriate that our family podcast is going to be on the Family Made channel.
Yeah, I love it.
Makes a lot of sense. So if you haven't subscribed to the Family Made yet, make sure you do that. And also subscribe to us, The Miller Fam. If you haven't already done that, you can find us on all the socials. You can find these podcasts on Apple, Spotify, wherever you listen to podcasts. Make sure you subscribe to that. You can listen to our show and all the other ones because there's going to be some good ones on here, guys.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm really excited. This is like the beginning of something beautiful.
It is.
People.
So excited. So we'll see you guys here next week.
See you guys.